So, as you guys probably know, the Green Bay Packers have no defensive coordinator as of when I'm making this video. So, I'm here to share my thoughts on who I think the Packers' next defensive coordinator should be. And I am a diehard Packers fan, if you don't know that. So, this is my team. I know what works for them. I still think we should have kept Jeff Hafley, but, that's the front office decision, not mine. But I'm going to give you at least two, maybe three people who I think should be the next defensive coordinator for my Green Bay Packers. So, the first guy I thought of when we let Jeff Hafley go to the Dolphins was Brian Daboll. When he was the head coach of the Giants, he was a great defensive mind. He built a really strong defense. He built a really strong defense. When he joined, the defense was okay, not that good, and then he got in to the draft and started to help drafting with the Giants, and he drafted Abdul Carter, who is I forgot his name. Brian Burns, right? Is Abdul Carter or Brian Burns? I think it's Brian Burns. But in this past draft, he drafted a really promising edge rusher, and pairing him along with Dexter Lawrence, which was a dynamic duo. And yes, he did get fired because his offensive mind was not that good. And the reason why he got fired is that. But he created probably a top 15 team defense to what I would think is a top 10 defense, maybe even top 5. I think that the way he built that defense up, the secondary was not too good, but that defensive line that he had was absolutely great. They got to the quarterback. They were able to punch the ball out. He was great at drafting, too. He knew what a good defensive player was, and he always had a great game plan on that side of the ball. And I feel like that Brian Daboll defense was really unstoppable while he was there. Yes, there was some teams with pretty good lines, like the Eagles, who, they're tough to get past. But I think Brian Daboll would be a very good fit for the Green Bay Packers because, we have kind of what he had in New York with Micah Parsons, an elite edge rusher, Rashawn Gary, elite edge rusher, and then we have and then we have a great linebacker and a pretty good secondary, which he didn't have in New York. So if he has a good secondary, I really think Brian Daboll could be a really good defensive coordinator for the Packers, since I feel like we got that defense that fits the type of style Brian Daboll wants to play on defense. Next, we got Sean McDermott. Yes, was his secondary that good? No, it was not. But kind of like Brian Daboll, his defensive line was pretty good. He made a very good move, bringing in Joey Bosa over from the Chargers. And yes, did Joey Bosa not do too much? But I think in the long term, Joey Bosa is a great addition for the Buffalo Bills, and that bringing him in was a really, really good move, and that he will help push this defense to the next level. And there's some people back in the secondary who can make a couple big plays, but mainly what you need to focus on is his defensive line. His defensive line was not that bad. I don't think, yes, some of you might, I don't think the Packers land him, but I think he would be a good fit for the Packers. I feel like the more likely scenario is the Packers getting Brian Daboll. But I'm not cutting this out. I do think Sean McDermott will end up being a head coach instead of a defensive coordinator. But I do think he is a great defensive mind. And I feel like the Packers defense wouldn't hit him as good as it would fit Brian Daboll. But I still feel like if he gets in to the Packers facility and becomes the defensive coordinator, that he'll be able to work some wonders for this defense and maybe not be as good as Jeff Hafley was, but still keep this team in a top 5 still keep this defense in a top 5 conversation, still continue to dominate at the line with Micah Parsons once he gets healthy, and with those young guys back in the backfield too, I feel like Sean McDermott is the best defensive coordinator to go out there and help them develop. I feel like he is a really good developing coach. He's good at developing players. His drafting is okay. And he's just good at developing players. So those rookies who we bring in the 3rd, 4th round who try and fight for a spot on that line, he would be a great guy to develop and keep those in. That's the main reason why I think he should come to the Packers and why I want him to be the Packers defensive coordinator, is because he knows how to develop guys. So the guy who I would want more as the head coach or as the defensive coordinator and who I think would be a better fit is Brian Daboll. Like I said, he was good. He was a very good defensive mind with the Giants, and he really built up that defensive line and didn't even really have a secondary. So now if he comes over to the Packers, he'll have a secondary, and that defensive line is kind of just like it was in New York, and this defense really fits the groove with Brian Daboll, I feel like. And that's really what it comes down to, and that's what I think is going to happen for the Packers, or at least what I want to happen for the new defensive coordinator position.